Alright guys, here we go with the next Math Notes video. We're in section 6.2.3. We're going to look at the substitution method. We just looked at the equal values method last time. Substitution method is a little different. It's just another way of solving a system of equations. So, the substitution method is a way to change two equations with two variables into one equation with one variable, which means that we can solve it. It's convenient to use when one equation is already solved for a variable. And what they mean by that is when you have the x by itself on one side of the equal sign, or the y by itself on one side of the equal sign, and everything else on the other. For example, to solve the system x equals negative 3y plus 1 and 4x minus 3y equals negative 11, we can use substitution to substitute the negative 3y plus 1 in the first equation into the x in the second equation. And that's because we're going to replace this x, or substitute that x, with what it's equal to. So those two are equal to each other, so we can replace it with negative 3y plus 1. Alright, so that's what they're showing us here on the right. We're going to use substitution to rewrite the two equations as one. And just to go through this, they've replaced the x with negative 3y plus 1. Distribute the 4 to both of those terms, which gives you 12y plus 4 minus 3y equals negative 11. We're going to combine like terms. So our like terms in this case are negative 12y and negative 3y, which will combine to negative 15y. That gives us negative 15y plus 4 equals negative 11. Subtract 4 from each side, which gives you negative 15y equals negative 15, and y equals 1. Remember, after you've solved for one of the variables, you need to go back and solve for the other variable. So you're going to go back to your original equation, which was right up here. Oops. X equals negative 3y plus 1, and you're going to substitute in again the 1 for the y this time. Scroll down here. Once you do that, you end up with x equals negative 2, which means that if you were to graph these two lines, they would cross at negative 2, 1. Negative 2 is the x value, 1 is the y value. To check that, you substitute negative 2 for x and 1 for y in both equations, and you make sure you end up with a true statement. When you do that, on the first equation, you get negative 2 equals negative 2, which is true. So it checks. In the second equation, you get negative 11 equals negative 11, which is also true. So it checks for both of those. Alright, so I want you to do this one on your own, guys. Once again, we have the setup for substitution. We have the second equation equal to a variable, which means that we can substitute this side into that equation for y, and that'll get you started, guys. I want you to solve for both x and y on this practice problem and have it ready for class tomorrow. Thanks.